Okay, I think I am live, so I guess we'll get started. Um, Hopefully this isn't going to be too slow. Here on the old Lenovo, 8 months ago, I can't believe it, uh, did this VM setup. Kind of crazy. Been a little bit of a hectic year, I do have to say. So a lot going on. My apologies for being absent, but I guess let's get uh, this fired up. I'll start up the VM and we'll go and do some setup. Basically, this is yeah, just installing some software that I need to do some of what I do. So it shouldn't be too much of in duration here. Um, I am here unplugged from power, so we'll have to deal with. I'll be battery limited here, and performance is probably going to be a little on the low side. See if I can tweak that a little. Okay, hour and 20 minutes remaining. Shouldn't be too bad. We'll make that big. And keep going on. We'll get into it. Probably stick with TWM for the time being. Um, Maybe mess around with changing that later, but it works nicely for me. So um, get into full screen, and we got full screen. Um, One of the things is going to be setting some stuff up, basically just some software installs. Not very exciting, but hope to get back into putting some stuff out as time goes on here. I have kind of missed it, and I do want to get back to it. So we're a little slow here. I think this is because I'm running on batteries. So bear with me a minute. I'm going to go find my power adapter. And I am back. I have plugged in. So let's get started. I haven't touched this VM in a while, so hopefully everything will uh, be playing nice. And need the VBox client. Get that for the screen resize. And what else do we need to do here? Do an exit route to gray. Okay, looking great. Um, Bring up a new X term. Make it huge, enormous. Hopefully that is going to be readable on the stream. We'll get console in right away so I can set up something with a bit better font. Head over to be root. That'll be the first thing, and go from there. Pardon me, I have a sip of coffee. So, Saturday night, very exciting, huh? Very, very exciting. So one of the things want to get set up to be able to do some more recordings and streaming. Some of this new machine, old laptop died. And of course, my work all happens. Okay, so we got to upgrade package here first. Not a problem. Um, but a couple things on the agenda that I do want to get to quickly is one, a little bit more with SunOS 4.14. But more interestingly, I would like to do some on AXP box, which some people have taken the ES40 alpha emulator, renamed it, done some work on it. I think it's getting better, so I'm pretty excited about that. Take a look at OpenVMS on there, see what it can see what it's all about, and go from there. So I'm looking forward to it. Um, Playing around with that. So got to put some stuff on here for these packages and see where it'll go. So some of this stuff I want to do right now is really just more so I can, you know, get some work done on here. Most of my work happens on the MacBook provided by the company. It has to happen there. But some of the prototyping and things where I'm not using their code or data, want to use something a little more comfortable. MacBooks are really, really awful. I mean, all of Apple stuff's really awful, but the keyboards are atrocious. And one of the things that's kept me off from doing this is some time ago, my house was flooded, plumbing issue. And so where I usually sit and do all this stuff in my back office, um, pretty destroyed. Thankfully, nothing too damaged in terms of hardware. What did get damaged was all my old computer manuals. So things like the Commodore 64 programmer's reference guide, the Commodore 128 programmer reference guide, some OpenVMS references, all totally moldy. I was out of town when the flood happened. Come back home, moldy carpet, moldy books. It's been a bit of an effort. So, of course, half the house right now is flooringless and in a bit of a state. Where was I? So yeah, so for this, I want to be able to do a little bit of playing around with the stuff I do work-wise. So basically, what this means is editors, um, editor probably Emacs, database client, and Perl Brew at the very least. So it looks like it's got to do some upgrades to here. Not a problem. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff I have back in my office is just difficult to get to at the moment. Hopefully, what'll come out of this is that I get to, have a nice redone office, redone a lot of the other parts of the house as a result of this. New bathrooms, new kitchen. Just gonna probably bite the bullet or move. Right? I get two options there, but it's not necessarily sustainable where I'm at right now. I guess there's no one watching the chat at the moment, which I guess is a good thing because I think there's a little bit of stuttering here. Don't seem to be taxing the CPU too heavily. It's not getting too hot. Oh, Python, the scourge of the modern world. Absolute scourge. And I see it more and more. Call it 4 years ago or so, started to creep in. It was popular with the quote data science people. R still really had the market cornered for a lot there. But now Python is ubiquitous, and I don't get it. I really don't. Are curly braces that hard? Parentheses. It's I don't know. It doesn't suit. It doesn't fit in my with my worldview. So, you know, still do it, but I don't necessarily like it. Do not necessarily like it. Huh. Looks like I had to put a lot of KDE on here uh, just to get console, but that's fine. And it is going along. So while that's doing its thing, let's get a browser going. Okay, yeah, Firefox is getting upgraded. Not up, I'll have to wait on that. International. So what else is happening that might be of interest? Uh, Not a whole lot, but lack of interest means I can get back to doing some stuff for hobby, which is what a lot of this is. Um, Things that I've acquired over the past, like 2 years ago that I haven't gotten to really get into yet. Right? We got the SCSI to SD2, or sorry, the SCSI to SD6, which I want to put in the SparkStation 10. Um, that is one of the prime things because that'll be a whole heck of a lot faster. Um, and within that, set up a couple of different SD cards, or even probably do it on the same SD card, and just slice it up into a couple different disks. So I can have both SunOS 4.1.4 and also do Solaris 2.6 on there, and the SparkStation 20, also Solaris 2.6. I'd like to do some more work with OpenVMS. I'm really eagerly awaiting when VSI and people who do OpenVMS now come out with the x86-64 version. I think there'll be a lot of opportunity for fun with that. A bit more modern. I'd like to see how it plays under Beehive and OmniOS. Uh, Also coming up relatively soon, if there's interest, I'll do a little view on or a little walkthrough on doing some updates to OmniOS. So doing some live updates there, and also look at ZADM. So I was using Zcage, and ZADM is really, really nice. Um, it's got a lot going for it. It makes uh, putting zones out there super straightforward, and I think it's fantastic. Let's see what's going on here. We got top going up. This guy enormous too. Yeah, so we're just using all sorts of package. And this is not a terribly fast. I think I only gave it, a couple of virtual CPUs here in the virtual machine. So not terribly potent. And, it's scaled from 4K. So what I really honestly need to do is get my external monitor out of my kind of discombobulated office and plug it in. And that would certainly help a lot. So first thing we're going to get kicked off is Perl Brew. Perl brew will be, something will start and then come back to a little later. Oh, I'm going to do console here. Honestly, Firefox. I don't care about themes. Oh, that's annoying. To figure out Perl brew, because Google is not working at the moment. I'm not too concerned about that. Perlbrew.pl. Okay, well, that is super frustrating. I'll worry about that in a little bit. Make this big. We'll do white on black. And we'll change the font. 24. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Try a different browser, and we'll see. Maybe my date is way off. Nah, date looks good. So that'll take a minute. We got that. Try to get Perl brew here. Okay, nice. So kernel's working. It must just be a Firefox thing. Let me see if I can remember the URL to do Perl brew. So we want to follow the link. And let's pipe this to bash. See if this will work. No. Oh, it's installed at Perl brew. No wonder. That should do it. Okay, I'll switch over to bash so that we can use this. There is a C shell initialization, but I find this works better. Let's see what's available. And we're going to want 5.32. Perl Brew is a great tool if you do any Perl. Well, for obvious reasons, lets you have multiple installations and manages them for you. So got a bunch of things so you can, we listed the available, you can initialize the environment. But really what you want to do is either use or switch so you can set what your Perl is. So basically I do an install and a use or switch. Was it 532.1? Yep. So that will take some time because it's got to compile Perl. Let's see if Chrome is going to work better than Firefox. Hopefully it will. So let's see, what other packages do we need? That's most of what this is. We're going to want Emacs. Get a new tab here. Load the font a little bit. And we'll take a look at the log here for Perl Brew. See what's going on with it. So, still doing its config. Okay. Emacs is in. We're going to want Eclipse. And so we're not going to get try Firefox again. Something's not playing right here. I'm not too worried about it, but I don't feel like looking into it at the moment. How slow things are. Pretty crazy. to be doing the live streaming. I should have really given this more than the minimum amount of CPU here. Okay, so once we get the Eclipse up, we're going to want a couple things. One is Epic. I want the Epic extensions for when something is too big for and we're going to want dbeaver. We'll get those in. See how Parallel's doing. It'll take a while. Hopefully I'm unmuted here. I think so. So one of the things is, I think why this is running a little bit slowly is because I'm scaling in VirtualBox is one reason. The second is I probably just didn't give it enough grunt. But the scaling, and part of that's because I wanted to stick with TWM here, which does not have scaling, and it's a little tiny if you run it at native. So next time I stream or record, I will do 1080 instead of 4K, and I think things will run quite a bit more smoothly. Don't know for certain, but I'm hoping it will. I am truly hoping it will. Okay. Grab this stuff and we'll add it to FS tab. Okay. So we got our proc FS, we got that. Fire up Eclipse. Sorry, I should have muted myself while having a drink of coffee. Hello, Ben. Thanks for tuning into the stream here. Sorry, it is a little slow going. I'll check in on how Pearl's doing here. Yep, it is still building. I am really stressing the two CPUs here. So yeah, next time this will be going a little bit more smoothly uh, than doing this. Let me actually get out of here and see. Well, here's what we'll do. See if we're actually touching any of the I/O here. Should all be CPU. Quit looking at how Pearl Brew's coming along. Yeah, load average of 4 right now. Crazy. Okay, Eclipse is coming up. So what we really want to do is just install some software here right now. And one is going to be, as I said, Epic, and the other is going to be uh, dbeaver. So those are kind of the things that I needed to have to kind of do some stuff other than Emacs. So thankfully, I know the Epic address. I'm having a little bit of browser trouble here. So this one, because, oh, pardon me, used it so many times. Probably not. And Epic is a really great Perl IDE. I think it's one of the best. It's the one I use all the time. And it is absolutely fantastic. So would highly recommend it if you're doing some Perl development and you like Eclipse. You know, not everyone likes Eclipse. It's a little bit of a, I won't say a dinosaur, right? Like Emacs and VI are dinosaurs, but they're still wildly popular. But it was of that era of, call it, I don't know, like 2005 kind of IDE, and it was really popular with Java people. They've now all, at least the ones I know, the really good Java guys have all gone off to things like JetBrains um, products. So it is something of an anachronism. It's not quite as much of an anachronism as NetBeans, the Eclipse, but yeah, to each their own. I think NetBeans is also pretty nice. So dating myself a little bit. So that'll take some time to install because I am straining the CPU here. And I'm gonna try to pull up my MacBook here so I can look up the web address for dbeaver for when this finishes. Move this out over to the side and see what we're doing. Yeah. So Perl Brew is taking a bunch, and we are killing that, but this is moving along pretty quickly. Nice. And I suppose I am virtualized. I could I could, cut the losses here and get out of here, restart the VM, and then increase the CPU count here. But I really don't want to kill the Perl build at the moment. In fact, let me yeah, so this is a pretty tiny VM. Yeah, that's one of the troubles with, let's say, the non-big operating systems is sometimes there's some issues with drivers, and that's, you know, can be really frustrating. Um, for desktop, not at all a problem, right? So all the CPUs are supported, all the network cards, or roughly all of them are supported. So I use OmniOS for the home server here, and just using, you know, parts gotten off Amazon, nothing special. Obviously, stuff like that, the Solarises, the OmniOS, the BSDs, will be checked out for a lot of the common stuff. But yeah, laptops can be a bit of a problem. Um, and this echoes kind of what was the state of Linux back in the mid 90s, right? You could get something, oh, whatever network card wouldn't work, or even worse, things like CD-ROM drivers were a pain because you had, CD-ROM controllers on your Sound Blaster. But then again, my Linux experience predates that. It was, MCC or SLS on floppies, which is a long, long time ago. So let's get dbeaver on here. We'll take a look at both Epic and dbeaver now, and see what's going on. So let me look up on the MacBook here where dbeaver is and add a site. I really like dbeaver as a database client because it lets me support, or it supports, everything with JDBC, or almost everything. So a lot of the work I do is in two things. One is Postgres. The other is Oracle. So having one client that does them both, and it's got some good support for Postgres development. So git, and that should do it. I should get out of full screen here and see what I'm working with here. So yeah, yeah, this is so it is 4 processors. So my, you know, load average of 4, not the end of the world, but yeah, 4 gigs of memory. Uh, Trying to do this with too few resources, which is fine for, most things, but we're building Perl and doing some Eclipse stuff, and trying to scale the display. So I really should have done is thrown XFCE on here and scaled. Um, at the desktop level, or even better, run at 1080. So software is gonna do its thing. Get back into full screen here. So yeah, probably really bound here on memory. Um, I have 2 gig of ARC. Yeah, an Eclipse on its own is probably sitting at a gig a heap, um, which is fine, but a little bit slow. I really need to get another stick of memory for the laptop here. It came with 16 gigs. So far, I've been really pleased with it. Most of what I've been doing on it, however, is playing games, um, because working all day on the um, and I really didn't want to mess with anything. That's why it's been like a year since I've updated in the channel and actually played with this for anything other than playing a few games. Actually, let's take a look at what games I've been playing. Maybe that'll give some import here. Uh, talk about them. Obviously, Civ 5 is uh, a real classic. Um, you know, a great way to waste so much time. So much time is Civ 5. ICBM, one of my favorites recently. It's great for a little pickup game. You can play a nice game in a couple hours. And then multiplayer on there is a lot of fun. Simple Rockets just for goofing off a little bit. But one of the ones I've really fallen in love with is Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. You go and you kind of build a ship out of 3D parts. Different missions. You can set up your own thing. Kind of a naval combat uh, environment. So I really like that. But you can see from this collection of games that if I'm on this laptop, I'm playing games, and in Windows for these games, 16 gigs is fine. This has some sort of NVIDIA graphics adapter. Let me get back over here, and we'll restart Eclipse. So take a look at both the both Epic and dbeaver, because they're great pieces of software I use all day, every day. Um, kind of critical to modern, or at least what I do in my modern role, which is kind of data science, kind of some other stuff. So as I said earlier on in the stream, hopefully some more stuff coming soon once I get back into the swing of it, and hopefully work will calm down in a little bit and I can have some free time. But AXP box, I will probably one of the first ones I'm going to tackle because I think that is a fantastic uh, evolution of the ES40 emulator. And I currently have Alpha VM free because I was lucky enough to download it while it was still freely available. Um, and that's what I do to do my OpenVMS hobby usage. Um, but if AXP Box is, I tracked what they're doing on Git, and looks like there's been some performance optimizations. Obviously, there was the rename, some other stuff. So, if they start fixing some of these bugs, it might be a real contender. So I can get, I think, 80, 85 VUPS, which is a unit of VAX performance um, with the Alpha VM free. And for, uh, I think I saw some people reporting 40 or 50 VUPS for AXP box, which is getting pretty close. The 80, 85 VUPS is, you don't notice any real slowdown, right? I'm not trying to do much with the OpenVMS, but it gets you close enough there that that it works for everything I needed to do at that level. So let's take a look at Epic here, and let's create a Perl project. We'll do a little Perl hello world. And we won't have Perl brew ready, but we can use the built-in Perl. So we'll do a Perl project. And this integrates with Module Starter, which is great. The Mojo integration is not necessarily what I would have liked it to been, but I could change it if I wanted to. So yeah, that's okay. So let's create a new file and show Epic. I'm not going to do anything but just um, the basic use here, because I am so starved for memory here um, that everything is going super slow. But maybe this will uh, show some what's going on. Got my shebang in there. So the classic hello world, and we'll run it. And you can see why this is a really powerful IDE for Perl. And what makes it nice is the debug integration. And if you're working on a large project, it is very handy. So running your stuff, setup, run configurations, etc. It's great. Um, so we'll take a look at DB for now. Switch perspectives. And so I don't know. I mean, leave a comment if you use Eclipse or have used it. Um, it's kind of been one of the things I've used for, goodness, probably when did I start? In 2005 or 6? A long time. Although for small, like my editor preference goes, if it's tiny, it's VI. I mean, preferably Elvis or Vim, right? Depending on what's there. I like Elvis a lot. It's a little smaller. But for then the next size up, small things, but I want a little bit more in terms of features, I'll go to Emacs. Um, and sometimes even for really large stuff, I'll do Emacs. But a larger Perl project, especially, um, I do Eclipse, RStudio for stuff in R. Um, but here's, you can see here is dbeaver. So we'll create a new connection. Don't know what we have in ways of stuff that can be local. Let's see if we have any embedded. We'll do a SQLite database just because it's embedded here. So basically you can create a connection and then you can create scripts and associate with them. Um, We'll do test SQLite. Be quite honest, I've never used SQLite with dbeaver, but hey, it works. And it'll automatically download drivers for you. A little bit of a hassle behind some corporate firewalls, but not too much of an issue most of the time. So hopefully this gets the drivers correctly. Okay, we're getting this going. I wish Pearl would finish building already. Um, I may drop off the stream before that finishes up, but I kind of wanted to show that off as Pearl Brew. So I have no table, so let's create a new editor on here and go from there. We'll just do a table here. Integer and a varchar. And so we've created our table. Show some results pane here. So we got our results pane. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So we'll put some data in the table, and we can take a look at some of the features. But this